Hi, I'm Gemma Bunner from Shaw & Bunner Legal, and in this video I'm going to talk through and explain how the Medicare process interacts with a personal injury claim. In Australia, if anyone receives greater than $5,000 as a compensation payment, then Medicare must be notified. So the standard process is that when a personal injury claim resolves, whether it's a settlement or a judgment, Medicare must be notified if the settlement sum is greater than $5,000. Once the matter resolves, then a form is filled out. It's called a notice of judgment or settlement, and that is sent to Medicare along with a 10% advance payment, being 10% of whatever the settlement sum or the judgment may have been. So for example, if it's $100,000, then 10% being $10,000 is advanced to Medicare at the time that the settlement monies are paid. Medicare then process that and they issue what is called a claims history statement. And this is a document that will list all of the times that you have used your Medicare card from the date of the injury up until that point in time. And you'll be asked to go through that list and to tick any benefit that relates to the compensable injury. Now, in some cases, if an insurer has paid for all of the treatment to date, there will be no money going back to Medicare, and there is nothing to be ticked on that statement. It's simply no ticks, signed off and returned to Medicare, and then they will reimburse the 10% advance payment that they've been holding. In other cases, there may be quite a lot of treatment that Medicare has paid for that relates to the injury that's being compensated. So completing the claims history statement, you would tick any benefits that relate to the injuries. You'll return that to Medicare. They will then tally that up and issue what is called a notice of charge. And that document will set out what figure is owing back to Medicare. They will then deduct that figure out of the 10% advance payment that they hold. So using the example of $10,000, if there was $500 that was owing to Medicare, they would take the $500 out of the $10,000 advance payment that they hold, and then they'd refund the balance to the injured person. Now, there's no avoiding the 10% advance payment process with Medicare if the settlement sum is greater than $5,000. However, there are ways that we can get that information in advance of any settlement. So what we can do is write to Medicare and request a claims history statement be sent out, and you can go through and tick anything that relates to the injuries that you're claiming compensation for. Medicare will then render a notice of charge. What they'll say to you is, look, this sum is payable to us if you're compensated. But that then allows us as your lawyers to factor that in to the settlement. But also when it comes time for settlement, we can just simply get the insurer to pay that charge as opposed to doing the 10% advance payment. So it tends to speed up the process. Another thing to keep in mind with Medicare is that we can't really control how long the Medicare process takes, particularly if you've received 90% of your settlement sum with the 10% being held by Medicare. But you can follow up with Medicare to their compensation recovery department, and I'm going to leave the number down in the description of this video. So if you have any questions, you can certainly reach out to them and find out the status of where your matter is up to in terms of any reimbursement of the 10% advance payment. If you have any questions whatsoever regarding Medicare and how it may affect your claim, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to help.